Haunted Hostel. Alright, so this story comes from a girl named Laura. She had an eerie and unsettling experience during her trip to Ukraine that she still can't fully explain. Laura and her friends decided to explore Eastern Europe for their summer vacation, and they had heard amazing things about Ukraine. They were excited to immerse themselves in the culture, visit historic sites, and enjoy the local cuisine. The group consisted of Laura, her best friend Jess, and their friends Mike and Sarah. They booked a hostel in Kiev, the capital city, known for its beautiful architecture and vibrant atmosphere. The hostel was located in an old, historic building in the heart of the city, which added to its charm. They arrived in Kiev late in the evening and checked into the hostel. The receptionist, a friendly elderly woman named Galina, welcomed them warmly. She gave them the keys to their room and informed them about the hostel's amenities. The building was old but well-maintained, with vintage furniture and high ceilings. After settling into their room, the group decided to explore the city a bit before calling it a night. They walked around the lively streets, grabbed some food at a local cafe, and enjoyed the bustling nightlife. When they returned to the hostel, they were exhausted and ready for bed. Their room was spacious, with 2 bunk beds and a large window overlooking the street. The old wooden floors creaked with every step, and the walls were adorned with faded wallpaper. Despite the age of the building, the room felt cozy, and they quickly fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Laura woke up to a strange noise. It sounded like whispering, but she couldn't make out any words. She sat up in bed and looked around the room. The other 3 were still asleep, and the room was dark, except for the faint light coming through the window. She brushed it off as her imagination and tried to go back to sleep. The next morning, Laura mentioned the noise to her friends during breakfast. Jess joked that it was probably just the old building settling, but Mike and Sarah seemed a bit uneasy. They decided to shrug it off and continue with their plans for the day. They spent the day exploring Kiev, visiting historic sites like St. Sophia's Cathedral and the Kiev Pechersk Lavra. The city was beautiful, and they were having a great time. By the time they returned to the hostel, they were once again exhausted. That night, the strange noises started again. This time, it wasn't just whispering. Laura heard footsteps in the hallway outside their room, followed by a soft tapping on their door. She got out of bed and tiptoed to the door, her heart pounding. She opened it slowly, but found the hallway empty. She closed the door and turned to go back to bed when she saw something that made her blood run cold. There was a shadowy figure standing by the window. It was tall and thin, with long, flowing hair. Laura froze, unable to move or speak. The figure slowly turned its head and seemed to look directly at her. In a flash, it disappeared, leaving Laura shaken and terrified. She didn't sleep for the rest of the night and decided not to tell her friends what she had seen, not wanting to scare them. The next day, she convinced herself that it was just a trick of the light and her tired mind playing tricks on her. Over the next few days, the strange occurrences continued. The whispering, footsteps, and tapping became more frequent. Laura's friends started to notice it too, and the atmosphere in the hostel grew increasingly tense. They decided to ask Galina about the building's history, hoping to find some explanation for the strange events. Galina's cheerful demeanor changed when they mentioned the noises. She hesitated before telling them that the building had a tragic past. During World War II, it had been used as a safe house for resistance fighters. Many people had died there, and it was said that their spirits still lingered. Feeling a mix of fear and curiosity, the group decided to stay one more night to see if they could experience anything more definitive. They set up their phones to record any unusual activity and kept a flashlight by the bed. That night, the atmosphere in the room was heavy with anticipation. They stayed up late, talking and trying to keep their spirits up. Around midnight, the noises started again. This time, they all heard it clearly: whispering, footsteps, and the unmistakable sound of someone tapping on the door. Mike, trying to be brave, opened the door, but the hallway was empty. As he closed the door, the temperature in the room suddenly dropped, and they all saw their breath misting in the cold air. The shadowy figure appeared again, this time in the corner of the room. They watched in horror as the figure slowly moved towards the window and then vanished. The room returned to normal, but they were all too scared to sleep. They spent the rest of the night huddled together, waiting for the morning light. The next day, they packed their bags and checked out of the hostel, thanking Galina and telling her about their experience. She nodded solemnly, saying that many guests had reported similar encounters over the years. They moved to a different accommodation for the remainder of their trip and tried to put the experience behind them. But the memory of that night stayed with them, a chilling reminder of the unknown. Laura and her friends never forgot their trip to Ukraine. They still talk about it sometimes, wondering what they really experienced in that old hostel. Laura hopes that by sharing their story, she can help others be cautious when exploring places with a dark history. Some things are better left undisturbed, and the past has a way of reaching out to the present in the most unexpected ways. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.